And we live.
We live.
Yeah. Look at this shit.
Looks
So,
like we both getting lit over here.
all right. So the nigga chest was good with y'all. It's the Over 30 Podcast. We in here.
What's up?
We in here. We got the holistic expert. You know what I'm saying? Your guide to the divine.
To the divine.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Let's
right.
see. Let's get this shit. Hey, we reading natal charts. Well, not we.
We, you're
Well, I mean, shit, I'm a part of it too. I'm
right.
helping decipher this shit too. But we
Right.
we reading natal charts. Let's go. Come get y'all. Come learn. Come
Oh,
learn about yourself. We
tap
got
in.
conversation. We got a conversation as well. To be clear, but
Tap
we
in. Tap in.
definitely we reading natal charts. If you want to learn more about yourself, I'm not doing that shit this time because I feel like it got a little too personal. You know what I'm saying? Some people learn some things about me that I ain't even.
You're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get it popping. Start off with yours.
Nah, not today. If you look, if you was here last time, you caught my natal chart, but yeah, we reading natal charts today. If you want your natal chart read, all you got to do is have your birthday, your
Time of
time
birth.
of birth, and your place of birth,
There we go.
and we will have a snapshot of the stars on the day you were born.
So go ahead and tap in.
So tap in, tap in. We'll give it a second for folks to come on in.
All right. All right.
And we do got an interesting conversation today because we will be we talking about the over 30 question of the week. Like where we at with dating outside your race, black people? We're gonna talk about it. We're
We
gonna
need
talk
the
about it.
pros and we need the pros and the cons on that.
The pros and the cons. Yes, the
Dating
pros
outside of your
and
race.
the cons. What do y'all think is a benefit and what works against you? Let's talk about it. We're gonna talk
Let's talk
about it.
about it.
But again, don't forget we reading natal charts. So if you want to find out about yourself, go ahead and drop that in the chat. But let's go ahead and get the show started.
All
I am the political plug, Damo, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Tisha Marie, the over 30 holistic expert. How are you, sis?
right. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Now, this is the second time we doing this. You feel me? The second time we breaking down the natal charts. We on episode 9. And going into this experience one more time, right? Like lay it out for the people.
Last time it was epic. Last time
Yeah.
we had a good little feedback and it was epic. We got to dismantle some people. But
In a good way,
breaking
breaking
down
people down in a good way.
in a good way, in a good way,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's natal readings is like it's a pseudoscience of astrology, and it basically gives you a good moralistic snapshot of who you are. It's based off your ideologies, your characteristics, your morals, your values, your dating, your love life, your love language, all the things, all the that make you who you are. How you communicate, your intellect, everything about who you are. It tells a story about you, and is the planetary alignment on the day you were born. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
the
So if
way
y'all want
the
to find that
planets in
out.
the go ahead.
No, I was just saying if you want to find that out, like this is where it is. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Now,
what it
Planet in
is.
the Stars, continue, don't let me interrupt.
It's basically where the planets were aligned and the stars were aligned on the day, the place, and the time he was born. And it all tells a story, it all has a meaning. And it's transferred into a natal, something called a natal chart or a birth chart. And break it down from all the planets, not just your solar sign, which is your sun sign. It goes from your Venus, your Mars, your Mercury, your Jupiter, your Saturn, Uranus, and your Pluto. Although you think it's not a planet, it is considerably a planet.
Right,
So,
right.
letting you know that you do have a Pluto with me, and I'm gonna break it down to you.
Facts. So now, while we give it time for people to come in, get their natal charts read, find out more about themselves, I do want to get into this conversation. All right, I do want to get into this conversation. So you did kind of stir a little bit of controversy on Facebook talking about interracial relationships. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. So where did that come from? What made you want to talk to the people about dating outside of their race? What made you want to talk about that?
that's a really good question. I'm so glad you asked because I have not talked to anyone about this. Actually, the origins of that came from was I had a conversation with my daughter. Now, growing up, my daughter has been to three private schools, and she's been to predominantly white schools. Now, for myself as a parent, I wanted my daughter to have an education, take an education from the predominantly white school and the private schools, and not the influences of it. But mistakenly so, she got both of those. Now, she informed me that she was interested in dating Caucasian men, and that struck a nerve. It
Okay.
it it it,
Okay.
it was
As a
it
mother.
wasn't as a mother, it wasn't so much as I don't want her to. It was like I had no idea her interest was right there. I thought identifying having a African American mother and an African American father, ideally that's where she would, want to be. But she informed me that's not what she's interested in. And she not said it once, but said it twice.
Mm,
And I I'm very big on giving her history and teaching her about who she is, about who we are, her culture. I'm big in anthropology. I don't know if a person that preaches the most. I use every opportunity as a learning opportunity, and I tell her certain things. And obviously, she's 11, so she don't interpret what I'm conveying at the time the way I want her to. But I know I'm planting the seed. However, to know that for me and my feelings and who I am as a woman, my daughter wants that. It posed a question: is it supported, or should we care about who our kids choose to date
mm.
or procreate with?
In terms of this question of interracial, that's a nail biter because I'm gonna give you my personal experience. Now, my mother, just going based off my mother, she would say straight up, it's okay. She didn't care who I date. I love who I love. I had a very interesting conversation with my great grandmother though. Rest in peace, Granny. I asked my granny, and I just like used to ask her questions just to mess with her. And I was like, Granny, if I married a white woman, would you come to my wedding? Why I asked her that, I do not know. But I said, Granny, if I married a white woman, would you come to my wedding? Emphatically, like without no hesitation, she said no. This is my granny. She only got one grandson and two great grandkids. That's it. And she
Wow.
said straight up, she would not
I
come
know.
to my wedding if I married a
That's
white woman.
crazy.
So that was something that was instilled in me ultimately because it was like you think about where my granny came up. She went to Lincoln in Missouri when it was the black school.
Wow.
When she lived right down the street from Central in Kansas City, Missouri. So,
Wow.
based on those experiences, you have that type of mentality and it gets passed on. Now I'm becoming a father in November and I'm having a son. And so, ultimately when I think about the type of woman I see my son with, I see him with a sister. You know what I'm saying? Like I see him with a sister. But at the same time, I gotta ask myself, you know what I mean? If my little boy come with the like, Daddy, I'm in love with you know, a Becky, ah, what like how do you I mean, because it's definitely not racism or reverse racism, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother conversation, but it's definitely not that. But to kind of instill your son like no, like we was raised to like that's not really what you're supposed to do. That's what they do. You feel me? Like
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's what the other people do. So I think that the situation is interesting, specifically as but you already have an experience in a daughter going through having these thoughts and these questions. I mean, what do you think? What do you think that says about who she been around though, in terms
I think,
of socializing and how she has been socialized? Actually, what do you think about that?
and I think on a minuscule way,
Oh, and again,
level,
if you're trying to get your natal chart read, put your information in the chat. If you're trying to, you
put
know
your
what I'm saying?
information, your
Put that
birth
in the chat.
time,
Good.
your birth date, and your birthplace. Um, as I was saying, when I think on a minuscule level, I think she's been around my friends. She's been around my family. She's been around her father's family. She's been around culture. So I feel as if that influenced her enough to um, make that decision when she grew up. But I think on the grand, when I look at the grand scheme of things and on a bigger scale, much larger scale, I see that she was in predominantly white neighborhoods, going to predominantly white schools. And she identified herself. She having questions about her hair not looking a certain way, and growing up, these are the questions that I had to ask, putting her in that environment. And she then you have society with the cartoon characters predominantly white. I mean, we finally got a black princess. We got the Elsa that was one of the biggest movies that hit her generation. So for her, it was all the girls wanted to look like that. All the girls wanted to identify as that. All the girls wanted to be Elsa, and it was questions of that. So, and they paint that picture with Elsa. She's painting that picture with, obviously, she is, date a white girl, and Anna is dating a white boy, and obviously that's what she's seeing, and she's seeing it in her school. Her interests keep going to that, right, I mean, to that area. So her influences played a huge role. And like, I can't say, as a mom, I've taught. I would sit, I can tell her some horror stories about our history, and her
Mm-hmm.
preference is still her preference,
Mm-hmm.
and I I have to find a way to be okay with that. I have to find a way to be okay with that, you
Yeah, I
know.
think it's one of those things where you see it kind of happen. I think this is a theme that was interesting in Blackish. I can't really. The show was interesting when I first started watching it, but I ain't really
Hey,
interested in a Blackish show.
hey, I to even go further, I made her. She went from watching a predominantly white show that she was mimicking, and it was so much of asking questions of why her life wasn't like that, into me saying, okay, let's watch Blackish. Let's give you not only an idea of a family breaking the stereotypes, but also a history lesson all in one. So that's good that you said that, because I actually wanted her to check Blackish out, and she actually liked Blackish. But
I mean, because I think what you can see is some familiarities, right? Because I think um as we kind of move away from how we grew up, we kind of end up in. I mean, because we grew up in the same neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? We grew up in the ghetto. You know what I'm saying? To say
absolutely,
the least.
absolutely.
So when you like, all right, I don't want my kids to grow up or like to grow up in the type of environment we grew up around. Ultimately, there's a trade off with the environment and then the people that look like them. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So like your kids, when you want better for yourself, ultimately your kids end up going to school with more white kids than you did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They see more white kids than you see because you know what I mean. You went to Wyandotte, I went to Sligo and Central. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you went to Sligo and Wyandotte, I went to Sligo and Central.
Yeah.
All we saw was niggas. You feel me? So we that
All we
like
saw.
right, but I mean, but ultimately though, like you said, your daughter didn't just went to straight private schools. right? Like she didn't went to schools where you had to pay money, you had to break bread, and,
Yes, three,
and
three private school.
that's what I'm saying. And where we come from, that's not always an option.
Yeah,
Like that, like being able to afford that. Education is, you know what I'm saying, is being a free commodity is extremely valuable, not just in terms of education, but socialization with public schools and
absolutely,
I mean hell, all the way to the babysitting and daycare. You know what I
absolutely,
mean? So
absolutely.
what you and this theme that you see in Blackish is Dre is always dealing with, you know, trying to stay connected to the nigga he grew up as,
Yes,
but at the same time living in this life that don't
life.
look like that or reflect that at all.
Absolutely. By trying to provide the lifestyle that is owed to us, to his children, but trying to stay within his culture.
Yeah.
Same time.
Yeah, which is difficult. So,
It's
you know, that's
difficult.
why his son on the show is, you know what I mean, he was into a little white girl and it only made sense.
Yeah.
You know what I
It
mean?
only
And so
makes
it's
sense.
like shit, if I'm I mean, am I gonna want to live in the suburbs? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're like you know, because I'm me and the wife, we still jet setting. We still, doing, you know, us. But now that we about to have the little boy, am I gonna want to live in the suburb and have him go to the good school with the, you know what I mean? Like where all the white
Right.
kids is. Because
It-
and the problem ain't with us. The problem is the fact that the good schools is where the white kids at. Like,
is it forbidden? Is it illicit to have your child do so in your household? Because oftentimes you have, like, when you mentioned the story of your grandmother, think about people, dealing with on a larger scale, their whole entire family not accepting that type of, preference.
yeah.
And is it illicit to have that? Is it forbidden in your household for your child to bring home that? I mean, what would be your initial reaction, or do you mold your child into, like, not going that route, not having that type of preference? Do you mold your child to not do that?
I think you can try. You can definitely try. But when we definitely got to remember that growing up, our classmates and our friends had much more of an impact than our parents did coming up. Like we feared our parents, we
That's
respected our
true.
classmates.
That's true.
So,
That is true.
you know, if I'm going to a school with mostly white kids, like yeah, I got one or two. I'm the black friend, or I got one or two. We the black friends. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And it ain't like what the white girls. It's mostly them. What you mean, like
Hmm.
messing with a sister? Like when that's really the option that you see, it's like ultimately like yeah, like that's what you supposed to do. Like why would that not be an option?
Right.
And so it's hard to combat that because that early time that they spend with their friends plays a much larger role in impacting their preferences
Hmm.
than your parents saying, and I don't even know how you tell your kids, hey, date a black person when you do it. Because you don't even want to be
What's
talking about
crazy? I've
it.
heard it so much though. Growing up, I've
Really?
heard in my neighborhoods. I think because the influences of our neighborhoods, it was such a something that you heard so often, repeated in your neighborhood, that you better not bring home a white girl, or you better not bring home a black boy, or you better date your race, or you better keep it, this is that. And they have a negative connotation around that person or that race, as opposed to, like, telling them the history and allowing that choice to be made. Is like, no, you better not do this, and frowned upon, sometimes even, like, disowned kind of by your parents if you do so, if you chose that. So it struck a fear in you to not even do it. Like, how would my mom feel? I even see men to this day, like, my mom beat my ass if I bring home.
A white woman.
Yeah,
Well,
I've
well,
seen.
well. What about you though? What's what is your preference? You know what
My
I'm saying? Like
preference,
how you feel about Jeff?
Jeff.
Oh
Okay,
Jeff.
so we're gonna call him a Jeff.
Yeah.
uh
Or
you know
Dave.
what? Oh God, that's definitely the Dave, Donald. Now, no, I absolutely cannot. It's just based off of who I am as a woman and
Mhm.
how I'm translated to them. I think, heck, even for a black man, I think I'm like a little too much. But no, it's so many other reasons why, but my answer is absolutely not. Now, I am big on not dating just black. I don't think African American is my only preference. I have different preference. I had Haitian, Jamaican, African, Cuban, whatever. I don't have to
Niggas.
date Puerto Rico. In a sense, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
like
yeah,
any other minority, but no,
yeah.
not that. No.
That's understandable. Understandable.
What about you?
Um,
Before I know we asked I asked this question last time to you, but before your wife, your preference
sisters,
has
sisters.
always
You know
been
what? The funny thing about it is not even just because I'm like, because I could want to say it's like, nah, my black queens, da 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 da. I'm gonna be 100% honest on the Over 30 podcast. I didn't know how to talk to white women. Like, why? How do you approach a white woman? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I mean,
Dominique.
a lot of my humor
You got a
is
black
faith
name
based.
too,
You know what I'm saying? Dominique.
Dominique.
You know what? And I've never. Somebody pointed out, I've never met a white man named Dominique. Now
Mm,
I've met some Dominics, but I've
yeah,
never. I cannot find a single set of white parents that decided to name their male child Dominique.
Dominique. No,
Not at all.
nothing.
Um, and so yeah,
Dad,
it's just
Dad, I'm dating a guy named Dominique.
right. Especially,
How does
look,
that
you
even
know what I'm
sound?
saying? Yeah, Mr. Jeff or what? Mr. Weinstein. The first thing he'll say is Dominique, a girl? You a lesbian? Right. So it's like, well, I don't know how to talk
First
to no
of
white woman.
all,
What do you say? You feel me? Like, yo,
right?
hey,
Yeah,
Becky. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially in like these type of climates. You know what I'm
yes.
saying? Like, I feel like you gotta. I heard that you gotta put whether or not you fuck with Black Lives Matter in your Tinder profile. Because if you show up and like, you know what I'm saying, like Democrat, conservative, all of this
You
silly shit.
seriously?
How do you? I don't know what do me and a white woman got to talk about?
That's true, and I think that's me as well. I've never dated a white guy, but I don't know how to be. I'm 30. I'm 32 years old, so I don't know at this age how to really come off as someone that can be not only interested, but what kind of characteristics and attributes do I have that they may be attracted to,
Right,
or
right.
and then vice
And then do I
versa.
like it? Like if you know what I'm saying? Like it's like you big on history. I'm big on history too. And it's just like,
Mhm.
girl, like, I don't mind being objectified as a man. I ain't gonna lie, I don't mind being objectified. Like me for my body. I'm cool with that. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But
Right.
then when it's a white woman doing it, it feel like I
It's
feel
different.
enslaved. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like,
Hey,
I
and
feel like, you know
listen,
what I'm saying? Like that mandingo, like
that is crazy you said that because not only as a black woman do I feel like that, just to know my history from a historical aspect, I was objectified. My people the women was objectified. We were raped, we was beating, and it's not their fault. I mean, it's definitely not their fault as far as like meeting someone at my age. I mean, of course they didn't do it, but just that thought, there's just that knowledge that you would have of that particular race scares the hell out of me. And you know
because
what?
it only
Not
take
only that.
one silly ass comment,
It
and I
does, and I was about to say that. It's like you walking on thin ice the whole relationship. You walking,
right.
and not that, but like you accept me, but how do your family feel? Like you keep
Hey, 'cause
going down
I
the,
cuss out your daddy. I cuss out your daddy. I cuss out your uncle. I fight your brother.
yeah, it's like
You know what I'm saying? Like,
like they stick together. They definitely stick together on some shit. So
yeah.
I don't know how to feel. For me, it's a hard no.
Yeah, I
Hard
mean,
no.
and please, I want people also. I definitely want to point out that again. We do got Sade. We're gonna get to Sade. She put her information in the chat, so we're gonna get to her natal chart. She said you know the time, so this should be an easy one for you because you didn't broke it down for your girl a couple times. Shout out to Sade. Uh, but
Shout
before we
out
get
to
in that
Sade.
though, yeah, before we get into that, I'm gonna say this about that though. I feel like even if it was one of them white people that was just like, oh, I recognize, I just know oppression is so bad, and I'm against white supremacy and and she done read everything, and she up on game on all the black shit, and she implicates herself as well. She knows that it's things that even if she goes that far, that also grosses me out. That also weirds me out because it's just like, damn, like that white guilt is that tough, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I,
you feel
I,
me? Because
yeah,
white people that think like that recognize that type of shit, they act weird around you, and it's
they
like
do.
you
Yeah.
too fucking nice. Like I know, like we all get it, right? Like we know all this shit, but like you
Hmm.
kind of just like with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's,
Like I know, we know
I
Becky,
mean, and
we
not only
know.
that, we got cultural appropriation where they actually feel the need to be and mimic us. Like,
Did you see
still,
Adele and her Bantu knots?
oh, I seen that. I had to log out for the day. I said, how could the boldness of it? I mean, obviously we're transferred on into hip hop and all the genres of music. I feel like we've already implicated and infiltrated, that to the point where we know we left a mark on that. And obviously they I feel like so hard to me, someone like Adele or whoever else, was Justin Bieber, all those people, Justin
Yes.
Timberlake, Bieber, all those
You know what?
people
I
that
don't think
appropriate.
Justin Timberlake is as egregious.
You don't think so?
Not
Think
Justin
about,
Timberlake.
man.
Don't make me look. You got listen to what you got me on here sounding like. I don't think Justin Bieber or not just Justin Bieber's egregious. I don't think Justin Timberlake is egregious because let's be for real. Justin Timberlake and them like with NSYNC work they ass into
Pop
like
culture.
niggas playlists
Hmm.
on their own. Like the nigga just like that.
But I was definitely on some Blackstreet. What is it? Backstreet
Backstreet
Boys.
Boy, yeah.
Or no, it was in sync. He was in sync.
Who Justin Timberlake? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's insane. Yeah, that's
in
insane.
sync.
You remember that
So
Gone joint they had?
yeah, now
Go,
that
yeah,
was my stuff.
that's what did it.
But
That's what did it. The rest of that album was
what was the
top trash.
reason why they wanted to get the black? I mean, because white culture is basically they can make millions just off their culture alone. Why did they have to transfer over? I mean, you have so many artists that stay in their lane, that stay in that don't want to transfer over, that don't want to go to a larger scale, don't need find a need. What made Justin Timberlake feel the need to come over? He did songs with Beyonce, Usher. I mean, Timberland was
You
his
know what? And
producer, and we already know his history of.
I think that I think that from that perspective, right? That is the issue that I would say that people have, like you have, my granny have with our our children and people we related to, you know, doing these, being in the to white people like that, is because it's a question of what they appreciate. Because
I think that is definitely
no, and the
conspicuous
reason
in
why I
that.
say it's a question of what they appreciate is because what you just said, it's like why come over here, right? Like why was it important that Instinct got gone on 106 in Park? And that's because what niggas like is what the world fuck with. Like
Mm,
black people, we define the culture. You know what I'm
hmm.
saying? We like what's hot, like it come from us.
Okay.
Across everything. Like popular culture is, like these corporations taking what they see in hip hop and trying to manufacture it into what they want it to look like. I mean, and that goes all the way back from, Elvis stealing songs from black people, like
I
all
was about to
pretty much,
say that Elvis was a good example of his
yeah.
people strictly supporting him, and that's it. I mean, Elvis was just basically Straight up his people supporting. And I think white people have such a huge audience and a support system to where they will support the hell out of their culture, but their culture don't have no flavor, just like their food sometimes. So
So they got to get it from
they
somewhere.
have to get it from
We
somewhere.
listen.
And
We've all seen Bring It On. We've all seen Bring It
we
On a million times.
we seen Bring It On
If
with
them little white
Jimmy.
girls didn't take their ass to Compton to learn them routines, they wouldn't have won shit.
We seen
And then
it.
even when they wasn't able to steal shit and they came up with their own shit, they lost.
Like, yeah,
That's like that.
I've seen
Bring It
it.
On is a good analogy for why white people need to come to hip hop to be affirmed.
Yeah,
Because if you can get the niggas to affirm you, then the world will do it. And so our kids, like when we see our kids looking for affirmation from those people,
hmm
we seeing it from the perspective knowing that why you going to them?
but it's
They coming over here trying to get, you know what I'm saying, trying to they want what we have.
but our culture is admirable to them, and they come over here and they appropriate our culture, and then they take it and they make market it and make more than us off of it. Because guess what? They stole everything, they took it back home to their culture, and they're using it. And now everyone from our culture and their culture is supporting them because they know that black people are going to support the hell out of them because they're white and they're doing something different. Like I'm not. I love him, was huge fan, but Eminem definitely did it. He's a prime example. Prime example.
Oh man, that's a M. When you start talking about M, we start getting into a touchy subject. We start talking about M. You know
He
what? But
did
see how
it
you got me
though.
on here. Like if I had to choose between defending one, Justin Timberlake, Eminem, I will have to go with Justin Timberlake is an appropriator, not Eminem. I can't say Eminem is an appropriator.
That's
I
a
can say
double
Justin
standard,
Timberlake.
though. How? Please elaborate. Like, we need to hear this. Like, listen, how do you feel Justin Timberlake over Eminem is appropriating our culture?
Because I feel like Eminem, with Justin Timberlake, it's like he kind of he needed like the Timberlands. He needed like these other people to kind of shape it. Like, yeah, he could sing and he could dance or whatever, but like that's natural to niggas. Like singing and dancing is the standard. So the fact that Justin Timberlake could dance is like, yeah, everybody in the Jackson 5 could. Mike could dance like no other. You know what I mean? So, for that, like he needed that. But Eminem, like being a rapper, like having the talent of being of a rapper to the level that Eminem has it is it's like no other. He's your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. I don't
Yeah,
no singer would say Justin Timberlake is their favorite singer.
that's true.
Every respectful rapper would say the one the motherfucker that I'm not trying to see is Eminem.
He's in that top 10. He's
Right,
definitely
exactly.
in everybody's top
Ain't
10.
no that ain't Chris Brown, ain't no Chris Brown, ain't no Usher, ain't no brother that sing and dance. Neo,
Quick
do we
question.
is Neo a dancer? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Quick question. What rapper or rappers do you think paved the way for Eminem from our culture? It had to be another Eminem before him, a black Eminem. What rapper? Andre 3K? What?
Nah, I think the rapper that paved the way for M that made M acceptable because like well first off we gotta understand M background. M come from M get it out the mud when it come to rap.
Uh, from Detroit.
I'm not everybody that's tuning in. We are reading natal charts. Put your information in the chat. We must have blew some minds last time, so y'all scared. It's understandable, but we gonna keep bringing it back. Give everybody the opportunity that's just joining us. If you want your natal chart read, just put your information in the chat. Right now, we're having a conversation about uh, white appropriation because when it comes to our kids and what they see and what they around. We got a young sister that's interested in the little kins, the baby kins. And so, we
Oh
just kind of
man.
talking about that interaction of what white appropriation and how black people become attracted to whiteness that's attracted to blackness. Um, in terms of Eminem, though, and yes, I'll say right now, I am defending Eminem against claims of cultural appropriation. I,
He is definitely defending it. For the record, I am not. I do like Eminem, but I am not.
but let's be clear, I did give up Justin Timberlake. I will not
He
defend
gave
Justin Timberlake,
he gave up Justin.
but I
He
will
gave
defend
up.
Eminem.
And not
Um,
only that, we could talk about Takashi, but we'll keep going.
we
Yeah.
don't have to.
We
We'll
we could stay on Eminem, but he's another one.
look.
Definitely
All right,
another one.
all right. So with M, Dr. Dre is a staple of hip hop. If Dr. Dre can hear your shit and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna put you on," Dr. Dre is responsible for Tupac in terms of his him exploding, becoming a star. Dr. Dre's responsible for Snoop Dogg. Uh,
NWA.
and I mean Cube and Dre were both did that together in terms of NWA. Um, Dre with the producing, Cube with the writing, but
Right.
Dre being the staple that he is, him introducing Eminem and saying like, not only was he an established street level battle rapper, you know what I'm saying? Dr. Dre is like, yeah, I want to take him under my wing. And so with Dr. Dre saying that, that's why we did that. That's why we let Eminem into our culture because Dr. Dre said, hey, he with me,
It's cool. Yeah.
and that's Dre.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you know. But we are
So
on this conversation. We are while we're on this conversation of cultural appropriation. Again, we are reading natal charts. If you want to get broke down, I'm not getting my shit ready again.
you gotta get your stuff
I'm
ready.
not getting my
Just just
shit
to, just to
ready.
break some ice or something. Like they
Right.
gotta see the all sides of you.
Yeah. I mean, now
All
let me
sides
ask
of
you
you.
this though. Kind of just getting back to the question of our kids and interracial relationships. What you think that means for our culture moving forward, like our future? When the kids these days they don't even have a relationship that we had with interracial
Yeah.
relationships, right? Like they are growing up in the '90s. It was still kind of we grew up during the jungle fever, like oh that's
Right.
crazy, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Hmm.
what impact do you think that's gonna have on our society when you have the younger generation that's not living the as segregated as we are?
That's true. Um, I like I said earlier, I mentioned that now we have our history and everything that was done to us, all the inflictions, everything that was put on us as a culture. It's easily accessible, so it's no excuse to not know at this moment. There's no excuse to not know what happened or even what's going on. um, I think this generation and my daughter's generation that's growing up, for the future, I think they are less rules and more authentic to who they are. You got LGBT at its all-time high. They're so comfortable with creating identity for themselves and not living by social standards. So, with that being said, I think they're going to be more free to date whoever they want with the knowledge and the background and the history of our people. So, like I said, we're in a media age, we're in technology age where everything is at their leisure to research. So they can't say that accessibility is not there. But as far as who they are and what I see this generation going, I feel it was a Generation Y or something like that. Z.
Yeah,
Yeah,
their generation Y,
yeah.
yeah.
So with that being said, I think that
Or is it Gen Z? Are they Gen
Z,
Zers?
Z,
Yeah. I think they Gen Z.
what-
Yeah.
whatever generation it is, I think that
The
generation
niggas that came
has
after
more.
us. We the
They're more.
millennials. You know what I'm saying? The niggas that came after
Yeah, and they're
us.
more pro. They're more pro choice, and they're more of a fight for your rights, humanitarians, activists. They're more of a we're going to get this.
Outside the
We're going to have a
box.
voice. Yeah, the outside the box, outside the realm type of race, so or type of culture. So I think that with that being said, they're gonna fight against all wheels and all barriers and all bounds that's against them for them actually being that generation, and how I see the chemistry of that generation evolving. But I think they're going to also know their history and know what kind of mistakes they're going to make, and know, all the things, because we didn't have that. We had one choice. I felt like we had one choice to make. I felt like we were told this is, and then we didn't have the access to our history. We didn't have all those things, and we only knew one way. I grew up, I only knew to date until I got up in age. I only knew to date a black man. My mom only dated black men. Her mom married a black man. So I never seen dating outside of your race close to me until now. It's so much. It's so prominent now than it was when I was younger. When I was 11, like my kid. So I think they're gonna be definitely fighting the barriers and not having any. They're gonna be definitely non-conformist to any social standard. So
Yeah, and I think that's that's something that you see really in like free thinking type people. Like if your daughter, like for example, your daughter as a teenager, right? Just kind of like how you raised her, just like her, from her hairstyle to her interests to that those types of things, that openness, you would think that when she sees you being like, nah, I'm gonna be a little closed on this one, she wouldn't be able to understand it because you've given her the ability to experience where it's just like, yeah, not that though.
yeah,
and not saying
yeah,
not saying that like that's a bad thing at all,
yeah.
because
No,
it's
no, I get
certain
it.
things that I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it's a cultural bias. And I think black
Hmm.
people should have a cultural bias because the world tells us not to appreciate blackness so much that
Hmm.
we buy into that. And
Yeah.
I think we don't need to just appreciate blackness. We need to be extra black. You know what I mean? Annoying. I ain't gonna lie. Annoyingly black. You know what I'm saying? We need to, as annoying as black people were when Obama was elected, we need to be about that. Like my president is black and all of that shit.
Right, right,
That
right.
appreciation. Shit, we should be happy. Like my
Absolutely.
teacher black, right? Like we should have that
Absolutely.
appreciation. My, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
My mechanic black. My florist is black. My whatever. Like the people that's a part of your community. My police chief is black. My
I hope
fire department chief is black.
I aspire for it to go that way with her, being that I give her her choice and I support her with everything, but I can't help but to take some of the blame if it does go that way.
Of course. Who else we gonna blame? Like shit.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. You would think put it all on the kid and that's her choice, but as a parent, I just feel like I'm the blame if it does go that way. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't do
But
enough,
but if
you know?
but if it's think about it like this though. If she's happy, did you fuck up really?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true. That's true.
And ultimately, maybe she can learn early white boys ain't shit. Maybe she can just get that out the way. She don't need to go through this annihilating something new. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah.
shit. You know what, girl? I learned. I went to school with white boys, and let me tell you, you know what I'm saying? This year really appreciate brothers. You know what I'm saying? You got sisters that just be
Yeah.
around brothers they whole life. Girl, you need to try you a white man. You need, and
And
they say that because it's like shit. You don't really appreciate it when that's all you done been around, and you just like these niggas. Try you a white man. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Nah,
that's
she done went
true.
to school with
Yeah.
all these little white boys, and she's like, no, I'll tell you firsthand, white boys are
Like,
assholes.
but yeah, like I've dated one when I was 15, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah. I see. I see.
yeah.
That's a good way to look at it. I didn't really look at it that way, and
Now the
um,
stand to the Over 30 podcast is love who you love.
absolutely,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely. No, no judgment this way.
No judgment. Love who you
No
love.
judgment.
You feel
No,
me? We just
only preferences. No judgment.
that's it. And we
Yeah.
can do that because it's just like we
Yeah.
talking about, for us, that type of shit, like what kind of work what works for me. And I
Yeah.
just feel like, my wife African. So,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So shout out to all the Eritreans, Habeshas, you know what I'm saying? East Africans, y'all
Oh
holding it down.
man.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
from the
yeah.
she from the Mecca.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Cradle of civilization on their ass.
Yes.
Uh, but yeah, so any last thoughts?
You know what? Like we said, love who you love, you know? Be you, love who you love, be fluent in it too. So my preference is my preference. My daughter's preference is her preference. I will not project my preferences on her, and I will not project my preferences on anyone on this live, but love who you love.
Hey, love who you love. Hey, it is
It
what it is. You know, so
is
we're
what
gonna
it
we're
is.
gonna keep it pushing, get into the second half of the podcast. Y'all man, get it
Mhm.
going. Now I'm a glutton for punishment.
Uh-uh.
Um, so I definitely wanna showcase your skills this evening. And I want people to be able to see what you're gonna do. And last time we really only got halfway through my natal chart.
We did.
So let's do it. Let's get into the natal chart.
Let's
Let's
do
get
it.
let's get into the rest of it so y'all can see
Let's
how
do
great she is at what she does. And this is the over 30 holistic expert. It's not just astrology. It's
I'm
food.
the expert.
It's
Come on.
life. It's energy.
Life, energy. Yes.
It's all of that
All of
hippie
that.
shit. No, I'm just
Life. It's abundance. It's
straight up.
prosperity. It's all that
Right.
is
And to the brothers, these is the type of sisters that you don't want to do wrong. They connected to a different type of energy that you're not prepared to fuck
connected.
with.
We connected to the source, and our ancestors don't play.
They
They
do
don't
not
play.
play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
niggas been fucking over sisters for too long. So the ancestors in the wings waiting to be like, oh, he doing you
My ancestors don't play. That's
what?
all I gotta say.
All she gotta do
All
is
right.
tap in.
All right.
All
Let's
she
get your
gotta do
stuff.
is tap
Let's
in.
get your chart read
I'm
then.
getting it. I'm getting it pulled up. Birthday November 14th, 1987. That is what 3. It's like 45 p.m.
24th, you said?
November 14th.
Oh, 14th.
Yeah. 3:45. Let me check on this Lakers game real quick while we getting this pulled up. I ain't even gonna play no games with y'all.
The
we
Lakers
go.
must be losing.
Well, last time I checked in, nah, we good. We up 10. We up
3:47 p.m.
10. 45.
45 p.m.
All right, let's get that pulled up. Let's go ahead and share this. Hey man, and again, y'all don't be all in my business. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
uh, I said I got the
I lost
wrong
my.
one pulled up. All right, all right. Lakers is winning, so this is a good sign. I'm feeling
Is it?
comfortable to do this
Is a good sign.
because the Lakers is up.
It
All right, so here we are. You know what I'm saying? We got
is
Scorpio in there.
generating your chart. Let me see.
Scorpio shows up 3 times. If y'all can see, let me go ahead and zoom in here. All right, and again, just for y'all to understand, when you look at your natal chart, I'm gonna showcase what I've learned from our holistic expert. When you look at your natal chart, what you see here is the alignment of the planets, the moment you were born, the snapshot of the sky. If you looked at the stars, this is the way that the major constellations, planets, and all that shit was set up.
The 12 star constellation, which is called the zodiac, and the planets that surround it
Got you.
is what we're focusing on.
So we
Uh,
we made it through the Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus.
um,
What? Because it was like what the Venus is. Ain't that some emotional shit? Don't they got to do with emotions? Shit like that.
the Venus is your love language. It's how you love, your emotional, most abstract part of love, and your Mars is your more aggression, more tangible aspect of love. So yeah,
Okay. All
look at
right.
you. You
Well.
remember.
Yeah.
Look, you're
Yeah.
gonna.
Yeah. I've been
Hey, you're
peeping
gonna be.
game.
Yeah, you're gonna be real good at this.
I'm telling y'all. Wait. As soon as I'm able to do it, it's over. My
It's
wife,
over.
it's gonna be all bad. She gonna become a student. But let's get into some of the more the interesting aspects. We was talking about Pluto. You brought up
Okay.
Pluto, and we got Pluto
Mm-hmm.
on the list. Um, my Pluto is in Scorpio. What does that mean?
Oh. So, Pluto is more of your death and rebirth.
Wait, what?
As
I
yeah,
don't want to talk about
not as far as
that.
a physical death. You are not. It's not as far as your physical death. Is
Yeah.
more of a mental spiritual death. Is it's basically how you start and begin. It's more of like a transformation type of aspect. And with Scorpio in there, that is a very, very good placement. Actually, Pluto planet rules Scorpio. So that is a really good placement, meaning
So
that
that means I'm like a true Scorpio. Like I'm an actual.
in that aspect, that all depends. It all depends on
Is that some
you have a lot
Scorpio
of
shit to say?
you definitely have a lot of Scorpio in your chart. I would say that. I'm looking at your chart now. But with your Pluto and Scorpio, meaning that you are very, very hard pressed on your beliefs and how you convey those beliefs and what you want people to believe. You're a natural humanitarian. You stand up for a cause type of person. You will fight for a cause, and your beliefs are your beliefs.
It's
You
a
will own
bitch.
it, and you would basically it would be so hard to deter
This shit
you
is
from
creepy.
your beliefs and who you are. So that is basically what that is. And your transformation, like I said, Pluto is basically your death and rebirth, birth and your transformation.
So as my
And
co-host,
also,
as my
go ahead.
co-host, do you think that's something
Oh,
that
you're
I
gonna
get?
have to finish it. Yes, yes, without a shadow of a doubt. Not even that. Before we even came to as one on this project, I've seen you from afar, and I already knew. I already knew just watching you and who you were. Yes, I already knew, especially in politics.
Got you.
Especially
Okay.
in politics. So that's definitely you're
Okay.
true to that aspect and that and in Pluto with Scorpio and Pluto. Scorpios are very aggressive. They are very passionate about what they believe in and their
Mm.
stance on anything. And they are activists, they're humanitarians, they're gonna fight for a cause and they're gonna own it. And they're gonna be very aggressive in it and knowledgeable. So it's going to be very difficult to actually deter them from how they feel and what they see themselves as. So yeah, very
So
good placement.
so we see a lot of Scorpio, but then we also see a lot of Sagittarius.
Mm.
I got Sagittarius and Venus, Saturn and Uranus. But let's talk about Saturn real quick. Where does Saturn is a reflection of what?
Saturn is more of your discipline. Saturn is a discipline. Saturn, you have a Sagittarius in Saturn. So that is a very good. Sagittariuses are more of your free thought type of sign. So with that being in your discipline and your responsibility and your structure, Sagittarius is more of a free thought, adventurous, philosophical sign. They're into the esoterics. They're into the I move at the beat of my own drum. I do what I want to do. I don't live by social standards or what someone else tell me to do. And they're very insatiable when it comes to a lot of things that they do. So insatiable, I'm sorry, when it comes to a lot of things that they do. So it's like very difficult to get a Sagittarius out of their element. Sagittarius is a fire sign. So a fire sign, they element their element is fire and that's passion. So when you think about passion you think or when you think about being disciplined in certain aspect and your work ethics, just say work, you're as with the Sagittarius in that placement, you're very free spirited, you're very I want to do what I want to do type of person. You're very like um let me create something that I love to do and I own it, as opposed to working a job that I don't care for. You rather do what you want to do and create you a business that you will love and you will, and you would shout to the whole world that this is what you want to do, as opposed to, some signs in that position, like a Capricorn in that position. They're very hard to pull them from an actual job or pull them from uh, um, a position, no matter what they're doing, because that's a very focused planet, and it's a focused placement, Capricorn. But Sagittarius, they're like, nah, I ain't feeling this. I want to do something differently, and I'm going to do something differently. And they will actually quit anything with that placement. They'll actually quit anything and start their own projects, if they're not feeling it. So, because they're very adventurous, so it's not hard for them to walk away from something, you know. So that's a good placement as well. Especially, I have a Capricorn in my Saturn, and it tells a story about me, because it's so hard for me to walk away from things, no matter what. And with Sagittarius, it's like, I do it. Yeah, it's
That's
cool.
interesting. That's
Yeah,
interesting. Another interesting sign I see, ascendant.
ascendant.
What is it? What is the ascendant reflective of? Mine is in Aries,
This
which
is a
is
good.
that's
Uh,
that's a good man. I got a
yeah,
dope ass. Is my natal chart just
you definitely have some good aspects. Tells a story about you in a very, very good way, a very
man? Listen,
aggressive way, very assertive way,
all you
but a
niggas can't
very
say
good
it.
way.
All you niggas can't say y'all natal chart. Say y'all dope.
You know
You know
what?
what I'm
Whenever
saying?
I see water in people's chart, it kind of gives me an a type of emotional aspect about them, because I feel like water, it depends on what the planet, the alignment is, and the placements are in your charts. But water it dilutes everything. Obviously, the water is a good diluter. So you got to understand, when water is in someone's chart, it put a kind of a hard press on the other placements. But you have Scorpio. Scorpio is different from the other water signs, which is Pisces and Cancer. Scorpios is a more of aggressive water sign. Is a more of a assertive water sign. It's a different type of water sign. They have a different energy, give off a different energy than the other water signs, which oftentimes they say water is very emotional. Scorpios are very emotional in a kind of a possessive type of way. Like, they will
What
own
you
it.
mean? You gotta clarify that.
Well,
In a possessive, emotionally possessive. What does
yeah,
that
well, like,
mean?
and let's just say transferring it to a relationship. If you're
Okay,
in a
that's a good way to
relationship with
understand it.
someone, and with all that Scorpio, you have a Scorpio, your Sun, your Mercury, and your Pluto, and with all that in your chart, it tells me that you will own, like for instance, you're a lady, you're very protective of who she is and what she does and how you see yourself, and maybe like a guy, making advances her way and certain things. As a Scorpio, you're gonna sting. You're gonna definitely let someone know, this is mine. Don't
You
fuck with
know what?
this.
It's crazy that you say that because I don't see myself. All right. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I don't see myself as somebody who is conflict oriented. I
Hmm.
prefer to resolve conflict.
Absolutely.
I prefer that, you know what I'm saying, we kind of hash it out. It could get heated, but heated in a direction where it could be hashed out.
Hmm.
I'm not a fan of violence. Not a fan of
Hmm.
violence. I did a lot of fighting as a kid, but that's just, kids. Um, but when it comes to my motherfucker, we was at the club, or we was outside of a bar one day, and
Hmm.
we was out there with some friends, and this dude, like I said, my wife is East African, so this dude walk up to her. She's standing right next to me, like
Hmm.
literally right next to me. This
Hmm.
dude walk up to her, and he like, man, what are you? Like,
Wow.
can you, like, where are you from? What are you? And I step in front of the nigga like, she taken, nigga. The fuck you mean? What is she taking? Fuck is you talking about?
Oh no. He was about to get stung.
And
Yes,
that's the
yes,
thing. I'm not that kind of dude. But just
yeah.
instinctively, I was like, this
Hmm.
nigga got me fucked
Yeah,
up.
absolutely.
You
It's
know what I'm
like
saying?
you
Like,
don't.
nigga,
Yeah,
she's
he brought it out of
taken.
you. Yeah,
So
he brought it out of you.
so is that
So
the
with
is that the
that,
sting that you're talking
that
about?
was the sting that I'm talking about. So
Okay.
with that Aries in your rising, basically your rising is your like where the sun was rising on the other star of Earth, because obviously we know. It's dark on one side and it's light one side, and vice versa. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, no, we're on the axis and we spin on the axis. Um, so your rising is in Aries, which tells a story about you basically. Aries is another fire sign, which is also rules passionate and passion. Aries is one of the most dominant signs of the zodiac, if not the dominant sign of the zodiac. But Aries are your leaders. Meaning they're your leaders, they're your initiators, they're your starters, they're your passionate. They could be very stubborn, sometimes too stubborn. Aries is the people that will start a project and see it through. They're your hard workers of the zodiac as far as like business. They're your CEOs. So with that being said, when someone meets you, they will meet a Scorpio and an Aries mix because, like I said, both of them are kind of like your sun signs on each side of the earth. So, um, if you really, really want to say an ascendant, it's basically your other sun sign. And they will meet a Scorpio and an Aries. And what that says is they're going to meet someone that's very passionate, very driven, very ambitious, very intellectual as well. An Aries is the type of sign that they really
Girl, you
want to
hitting the
find
nail
out.
right on the head.
They're really gonna find out if you're even smarter than them because they don't think any sign is smarter than them.
I- Look.
And they they
I
would
I ain't
basically
gonna go
tell
that
you in your
far.
face. Yeah,
Look, I'm
they're
gonna say this.
very.
I'm gonna say this based off of this reading. Like the world better be lucky that I've already not even chained down. I've already committed myself. I'm a taken man because with my natal chart, I would be happy to give out my birthday. Matter of fact, I'll
Yeah,
be
you
like,
should be.
look, instead of giving them my number, I give them my birthday first,
You
and then tell
should.
them find me on Facebook. I ain't gonna give you my number. Here,
You,
my natal chart. Check me out. If you talking about it,
you
holla at me.
should be.
You know what I'm saying? That's
You
a
should
resume.
be.
For real. I mean,
Definitely
you gotta
should
think of
be.
it like a girl. All right, I know I'm hardworking. I'm motivated. Okay.
Absolutely, because your chart actually says all this. It gives off a very ambitious, very driven type of person, and you also are very intellectual, which those healthy balances are in there. You have fire, and you got a little water in there. Who don't want a little passion mixed with emotion? That's the best of both worlds.
But the best
And
of both worlds. I'm about to go ahead and
yeah.
tell my wife she lucky.
You see, then you got the
Shit.
Libra in there to balance it out because
Yeah.
Libra are the scales. So
I'm a catch. God damn it.
listen, you so silly.
You know what I'm saying? I'm
You
a
got
cat.
it.
Hey, and listen, if you want to feel that way about yourself, if you want to fully understand what make you you, hit her up. What's going?
Hit me
Put
up.
the
Hit me
go
up.
ahead, put the there it is right there. Infinite omniscient, omniscient. Yeah, omniscient,
I'm omniscient,
omniscient, omni,
omniscient,
omniscient,
omniscient.
omniscient. We ain't gonna do that, but it's there right there. You know what I'm saying? It's right there in the name. You feel me? Hit her up at Tisha Marie on Facebook. And you can understand
Yeah,
yourself. Gas yourself
absolutely,
up. Know what make
absolutely.
you you, and then respect that because too often what happens is people are told that certain traits aren't for them. People are told that you emotional. That's not good. You know what I'm saying? Or you this. You ain't supposed to be
Yeah,
that type of person. Like, nah, that's you.
yeah,
And so it ain't
yeah.
about not being that. It's about embracing what make you you and then utilizing that energy to be the best you could be.
Absolutely. And not only that, I know oftentimes, and then we live in a world and an age where everyone wants to find love and who they're compatible with. And it's oftentimes they focus more on their sun sign than they do all the other aspects and placements in their chart, which the sun sign only gives you a very vague description of about who you're compatible with. It tells a more prominent story on from your Venus, your Mars, and your Moon sign than it does your Sun sign. So when you're looking for compatibility and you're saying, "Oh, I don't get along with a Taurus," and you may be Scorpio, but you may have Earth in your chart like a Virgo and a Capricorn that's compatible with that sun sign. So you have to understand how your chart looks, and it's called something called a synastry chart. Now that's your love compatibility chart, and that tells a story about who you're compatible with more in depth. So you can't people always want to ask me about if they're compatible with their somebody else's sun sign, and that for me is very vague. I can't answer that. I have to look at both you guys charts and give you a reading based off of both you guys chart and match up the planets and alignments, and also your 12 houses to understand how you guys really get along and how compatible you really are. So um oftentimes when you're talking about love, you have to make sure that you look a little deeper under the surface of what your knowledge is and get you a reading like that. Get you a love compatibility reading, which is called a synastry reading. And if you're interested in your mate,
Semester.
if you're even interested in diving deep to see if you and your husband or your wife
Now, if y'all
is
already married, leave it
compatible.
alone, because she gonna fuck up y'all relationship. She be like, girl, I
Listen.
knew that's why I couldn't stand when he would talk. I knew it was something. You are so
Hey,
right. I'm leaving
I've
this
had
nigga.
people that were married come to me and ask me were they even compatible because they felt incompatible.
How
Which
you marry somebody you incompatible with? That's
I
another
mean,
conversation.
oh, that's a definitely another conversation. But it is not uncommon for it to happen. You know,
Man,
oftentimes
look,
some people marry for certain different reasons, and it's like, yeah, it can
yeah.
get
So
crazy.
if you feel like you made a mistake and you roll over thinking I can't stand this nigga every night, maybe you should holler at Tisha Marie and get your shit right. Find out what's up.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? She got
let's
it like
do
that.
it.
Any last words you want to get to the people before we go ahead and close it out?
No, I mean, listen, like we said earlier, love who you love, and if you want that reading, hit me up in my inbox, Tisha Marie, or DM me on IG, Infinite Omniscient, and go from there.
All right, straight up. Hey, y'all make sure y'all follow us on YouTube at the Over 30 Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at the Over 30 Podcast. And then we getting the rest of the things on the way. We about to have the Instagram soon. And then you'll be able to listen to us on the ride to work, you know what I'm saying, on the way to the crib, on all the podcasting platforms here very soon. But it's episode 9. We're gonna holla at y'all. And we out.